Hey, this is Annabelle and Sarah. Welcome back to Navigating the Shift. Today we thought we would talk about the sun because we're just sick of talking about politics.
Yes.
So we've had some photos that we've swapped between us that Sarah sent to me that had rainbow images. I'll put them up on the screen here. Rainbow images around the sun of like rays coming out in a wave, which was very similar to her artwork, which I'll now put on the screen as well. Which Sarah did as an intuitive piece of artwork. And now there are new photographs that have come out in the last couple of days. I'll send you a link to this particular article. It says, "Scientists baffled concentric ring phenomenon goes mainstream." And it's got some beautiful images there of different people putting it up on Twitter. So it can't just be the camera, right? Because otherwise we would have been able to take these photographs earlier. But these have got very specific rings. Some of them look quite even. Some of them are not. They look more like what you might expect radiating out of a speaker, sound waves coming out of a speaker, where some bits are long and other bits are quite short and staccato, quite close together. So, Sarah, do you want to just talk a bit more about your view of these rays?
Well, the image that I created was from a vision I had 2 years ago, something like that. So what it was I was doing some astral traveling, and then when I rose up off my bed, I went through the ceiling of my house, and I looked to the east, and there's these green hills that's in this picture, and I saw these pulsing pastel waves just expanding and coming toward me. 3 of them, obviously, but that's not what is being shown here. My interpretation is that that was shown 3 because there will be 3 of them that happen, and the separation is time rather than being overlapped in time. Mm-hmm. And then when I saw these pictures, I just thought, that's what it looked like, man. That was it. That's what I saw. Right. So people are starting to see it. And my understanding of it is that we're actually going into an area in space where there's a lot of more photons, which are those particles of light. And it's... She's got a deflated football, and she won't stop. So I think it's time for me to take the dog out of the room so we don't get distracted. I shall. All right. It's a lovely sound, isn't it? Shakes her head really hard. So,
back to
where
the rays.
was I?
So you said we're moving into a different part of the galaxy, I guess?
The photon belt. Yeah, we're moving into what's called a photon belt, which has been predicted for some time. And it's just an area in space that every 12,500 years or so, the Earth travels through, and it triggers an upgrade to it changes. We entered it evidently, just started edging into it late in the 80s. And our sun, that was when our sun changed from being more yellow to being as bright and started changing to being as white as it is now. Not everybody remembers that if you weren't around at that time, but
yeah.
You and I talked about that.
Yeah, ever since 2012, it's got whiter and whiter. And there have been times I've gone out on the street to talk to a neighbor early in the morning and we've gone, wow, look at that. Like it's white. Yeah. Whereas and you have to remind people sometimes, do you remember being a child when you had to draw a picture of here's mummy and daddy and a house and the sun? Yeah. Everybody drew the sun as yellow. It was yellow.
Yeah. It used to be more yellow. That's the truth. Yeah. So it's causing a huge change. I think it's going to be what we're entering that time period when our planet shifts to the new Earth, into 5th dimension, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And we're seeing all the old stuff coming up and out because it has to get out of here in order for us to make this change.
Yeah.
So the other thing is, at the same time that the sun is doing this stuff, especially the last few days, we've been getting these Schumann resonance pulses. Just regular, just boom, these blasting into high frequencies up to, how high did you say the one that was?
Somebody said they gauged it at 78 hertz. So I think the regular amount is 7 point, what is it, 38 or?
83.
10.83 hertz. Like this was 10 times as high. A huge
Wow.
blast. And yeah, for someone like me who has sort of my nervous system is always sitting there on the edge, you know, that was like, oh,
Yeah.
wow, it was full on. And you said you
Well,
had a problem with sleep as well.
Oh, yeah. But the pulses of the photos of the sun, it's like boom, 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 boom. And I'm thinking that as that frequency reaches the planet, it's triggering the Schumann to go blast, 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 blast.
Yeah, but what would be interesting to see is to look for, because these photos are showing up on Twitter. There's just every now, you know, it's not people with fancy cameras or anything, as to when those are coming up, and compare that with the Schumann resonance at the time would be interesting. Does it affect? Because there was a lady I interviewed on my Kite Girl Coach channel one time, Dana Mrkich, who would always watch the solar flares. And whenever there was like an M-class flare or, you know, something massive going on with these flares, within 3 days it would hit here and something would happen. Either everyone would get aggressive or something would come to light, which would be announced in the media. These things, they seem to have a constant relationship to what was happening here whenever those flares, the solar flares, happened on the sun. What is the sun, though? This is what's interesting. You know, the sun is, science is telling us now that it's actually more like plasma and doesn't have light. It's sound, and it adjusts to light as it comes to us. So that's an interesting idea.
That is. So if you get close to it, you don't burn up, right?
It's not light. No, it's not. And another thing I'd heard through the channeling interviews I'd done was that it is a broadcaster. Whatever comes out of the central galactic sun, which is, you know, we're on the Milky Way, which is an arm. It's like a big windmill, you know, with all these arms, and they're rotating around the central galactic sun, much, much bigger than our sun. And and whatever comes out of the central galactic sun, and who knows if that's the end of it, you know, maybe that's a little tiny star on, you know, it could be fractal, right? That could be a little star on somebody else's arm, and there's an even bigger one again. But whatever comes out of that, it gets reflected out and broadcast from every other star that we can see in the sky, including our own sun. So the idea of hide away from the sun, put a hat on, put your glasses on, don't go near the sun, is kind of not allowing you to pick up whatever the new coding is flowing through. I'm not saying stay out in the sun until you get burnt, but I'm saying make sure you get some of it every day. You must do. I've started learning a little bit of sun gazing with someone who's well experienced with that. And
so explain what that is.
I have to look into the history of it. I know that Egyptians did it. I know that the person I'm hanging out with is Indian. So his family are well familiar with it as well. The idea of looking at the sun when it's just coming up or just going down. So if you think about it, you've got the curve of the Earth and you've got the stratosphere, right? If you looked at the sun straight up, it's the shortest distance through the stratosphere, so it can hurt your eyes. But if you look crossways, across to the horizon, it's as thick as it's going to get. You know, like that. So you're safer to look at it at that point. And when you look at the sun when it's only just coming up and you're very relaxed and meditated, you can look right into it and you can see little swirls going around the edge. I don't know if that's just what the eyes are doing. He could watch it a lot longer than I could. So he just said, look, if it starts going red, then you know, or pink, it's your eyes that are struggling with it. So you just drop your eyes down and then you can come back to it again. And I found that it just would get to a certain point where I couldn't look at it anymore. It was too bright.
And so you're picking up the energy and information directly through your eyes.
Yes, it's subconscious. We don't really, it's not like I can go, oh yeah, I just learned something new. It's not quite like that. But there's definitely something flows through, a physiological change. He reckons that his third eye opened by doing this, and he could suddenly see the water below us, because the place we do it is where the ocean comes in, which is amazing. Nice. Yeah, and he can see a lot more. He's very open and psychic and that sort of thing now. So
cool.
Yeah, don't be afraid of the sun. We've been taught to be afraid of it, to cover up from it, to put this strange lotion on our arms and skin that
poisonous lotion.
We do not know what's in it, and it doesn't seem to help much at all. It might stop you burning for a short while, but then you get sick. So yeah, I would rather go without sun lotion and put a shirt on if I'm going to be out in the sun.
Right.
You know,
or use, I mean, even just putting coconut oil is like a SPF 4 or something like that. Just plain coconut oil, which is wonderful for your skin.
That's surprising because oil usually opens up your pores. I would have thought that would
right. Usually you think oil would magnify it. Well, it could be wrong, but I read that and I just thought, okay, well, if I'm working on a tan, I won't use coconut oil.
I know you're not meant to use baby oil, the Johnson & Johnson baby oil, because that's really bad. That really damages. But now we know about Johnson & Johnson's baby powder having, what was it, arsenic in there or asbestos? It had asbestos. They proved it had asbestos in it. Can you imagine? It's been going on every baby's bottom all these years, and the child starts off sick with asbestos put into its delicate skin from the very beginning. It's horrifying. I didn't use it on my kids.
Let's not go down there because we do way worse things than putting things in babies than sunscreen or powder.
You're right. You're right.
So my intention, my understanding is it's a positive change that's coming, that there will be people who, how do you explain it? It's like a parallel split.
You're talking about this big wave, when the big wave comes. That nobody will be able to ignore it. Yeah, you can't ignore it when it happens.
Right. And the people who are going to the new earth will experience it as this intense, blissful thing. But the people who are going to go to another third dimensional experience, there will be negative things that happen because there have to be in order to explain the huge reduction in population. Because if half people go over here, or hopefully it's more than that, and half go over here, the half that are in the new earth will understand what happened, but the half that are in the old earth will have to have something to explain why half the people are gone. So for us, you know, if you're watching this, you're going with us, right?
Yeah. If you're interested in this and you're open-minded, then you're on the right track. I think the goal is to take everybody with us. And that's where we get to work, by trying to, everyone you meet on the street or anywhere, if you can lift them just a little bit, simply by being there or smiling at them on the street or something. It's not like you have to go out there and preach. You don't need to do that. You just need to be out amongst people where you can lift them up and lighten the mood. That it lifts them a little bit, and they're more likely to slip into the 5D world, the new world.
That's nice.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And when you look at Cosmic Agency, sorry, I'm going to chuck this little bit in as well. Her stuff is fascinating, I find. That she was talking about the idea that the ones left behind are part of the 3D, and that they're not the same kind of soul as the people in 5D anyway. So it would just, because the matrix of the 3D will dissolve in order for us to become 5D, and any body that was in that, they might be just simply, rent a crowd, will dissipate. So they're only there when you look. And now that's a real mind bender of an idea.
That is.
Yeah.
The idea of what's the term for that a lot of the people we see out there aren't real.
They're part of the program, part of the 3D matrix. So they will disappear. God. It's not like they'll die and suffer. It'll just be that we no longer have the 3D matrix. That program is taken out, and we are more our natural selves. Most planets are 5D according to her material. Interesting. Yeah.
So as this is happening, though, we've been in this 3D, and we've been poisoned energetically and through our food and the drugs and everything like that. So we have, and emotionally as well. The constant programming to keep us in the negative emotions. So it's a slow process. As these waves come in, they're going to start cleaning us up and raising our vibrations. But we get symptoms that come along with that process, like you could call it like detoxing symptoms, when the Schumann is
ascension symptoms,
right? But also sort of like if you're feeling sick. from detoxing, but you're detoxing 3D reality and ascending to 5D.
Right.
So things to watch for are, you can't sleep, a lot of headaches, body aches, that just sort of feeling of malaise, you could say, or you're just so tired you just can't do anything but sleep. What other symptoms? I mean,
well, you have opposites, don't you? Sometimes you're just heavy like a log. Other times you're jittery. They might make you aggravated, so they might get you extremely angry for no particular reason, or you might burst into tears for no particular reason. And like you said last time round in the last episode, to just allow it to bubble out, and you don't have to link it to anything in particular. Just let it happen, and go, great. There's the splash out, right? That's good. Let's carry on, move on. Diarrhea, digestive problems, the need to drink a lot more water. Yeah.
So it's the idea is that be gentle with yourself, be kind. This is real, and it's a momentous, amazing, huge thing. It's not a little thing like what's going on here is like a humongous event where everybody's going to have their third eye open and way more than that.
It's a shocker, isn't it? It's going to be pretty scary, I think, to suddenly see so much more than you saw before, I think.
Could be. I hope from my experiences of it, my visions of it, was that what came with it was such a lovely, blissful feeling of just everything is well in the world, and it just tingling and just, I could just live in this, and everything's so good, and I'm so excited about the world. So that'll make it less so that you get the anger going. Plus, all of those programs from the 3D that are, like I said, designed to keep us in the low frequency emotions. If those are gone, imagine what it'll be like. It'll just be so nice. And then what can come up with the release of the old is the patterns as well. So if childhood stuff is coming up, and it's kind of challenging because so many of us have done the work. We feel like I've already healed from all of this stuff. How can it be coming up again? A thing to watch out for is that you are not processing anything but you. Because as everybody's going through this energy, everybody's being triggered. And so there's going to be a lot of it going on. And being these lovely empathic old souls that we are, we tend to pick it up. So I stay really on top of that question is this mine first before you go into it? And once you ask that question, a lot of times the intensity will drop, but not always. And like you said, just feeling is healing. Let it out.
Definitely.
So keep your eye on the Schumann.
That's it. Yeah, we'll put the link for that again. We've done that before, but we'll do it again. And if you get any great photographs, we would love to see them.
Yeah.
Of the rings around the sun. Okay, sounds good. Nice to talk to you.
Bye.
Bye.